So over the last few months, I recently scaled 3 e-commerce brands to 7 figures utilizing Facebook ads. And I want to show you exactly what each of these 3 brands had in common today and what we did to achieve this 7-figure mark with these 3 e-commerce businesses. Now, if you're new to the channel, you don't yet know who I am. My name is Justin and I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, an online marketing growth firm specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying D2C ads. Let's get straight into today's video. So as the title says it, I scaled 3 e-com brands to 7 figures with Facebook ads to prove it is not luck, okay? So brand number 1, this was a health and beauty business. They're still actively working with us. We've been with them now for exactly 13 months. So we've had the chance of seeing pretty good growth over the last year. You can see something very interesting, actually. This business has 2 Shopify stores, Australia and US. And earlier this year, we had seen this trend, and this was quite funny because this client came to us last year and they're like, guys, the US store has historically always performed better than Australia. So we want you guys to put more budget towards the US store, which is what we did naturally because we listened to, the client's expertise with it. But as the time progressed, we're like, guys, we're getting a much better ROAS with the Australian market. Our conversion rate is just much higher. AOV is higher. Why don't we spend more money there? And then the client was like, well, I just think there's more scaling potential in the US. I don't want you to spend more in Australia. Crack the US. I was like, okay. And then we kind of kept repeating back the same thing. We're like, hey, look, like Australia really is working better. And right now we're putting more and more budget to the US, but it's actually not performing as good. So why don't we do a budget swap and put a lot more money towards Australia? And he was like, you know what? Do it. So that's what we ended up doing. That's the curve you see this year for the Australian market, just going up. And that's the slight down curve you've been seeing for the US store in itself. Something quite interesting also that we've done is we had this chat with the client where we kind of tried to profit optimize around like February to March and April, and don't produce as much content or perhaps iterate on the existing content. And that's also what coincided with like this curve going down right here. So that's just a little side tangent, not like a main point to bring up in this video, but just to say we noticed that like obviously new creative production, even though we currently had a bunch of ads, we were iterating on them, producing new creatives like really helps an account. Now, brand number 2 is a fashion business. We've been working with these guys for like 3 years. So we've really seen this brand grow a lot. Okay, last 12 months, they've grown by 19%, and we generated $1.77 million in sales. And now this third brand is a newcomer. Actually, it's a recent case study on the channel in itself. I'm going to put in this video. I know they're not doing $83,000 a month, which is what they should be doing to reach the 7-figure level, but they're above 80 grand. I'll count them a part of the 7-figure club, okay? Just because of how recent this transformation is. This is August, okay? Which is, again, just in the last few weeks. So with that being said, these guys actually are a digital product business. They sell online masterclasses. So I did it here to show you like 3 different e-commerce brands, 3 different markets also for that reason, because this one is half EU, so half Europe, half US. This one is US only. This one is more Australia than it is US, but it's Australia, US. So again, 3 markets, 3 completely different industries, which show you that, again, this is not luck. So the 7-figure question is, what do all of these 3 brands have in common? Well, let me unveil that for you. Number 1, they all have a Shopify health score above 190. So what does that mean? And I'll zoom in a little bit right here. Like I'll make these bigger for you to see, okay? What I mean by a Shopify health score. So a Shopify health score is this. It's conversion rate times AOV, okay? Which basically means like to what extent there's either product market fit and or to what extent the website converts to a decent level. And that is a topic that I discussed a few times on the channel that was introduced to me by a friend of mine who runs a successful CRO and ads agency. And basically what Shopify health score is, you take 1.9% times AOV. So 1.9 times 100 in this case, which is about 190. Now 5 times 89, which is well above 190. 2.7 times 82. So 2 of these businesses are well above 200 Shopify health score. These guys are right around the 200 mark. So the scale by which I evaluate this so-called Shopify health score is 0 to 100. A business needs to do a lot of work in the back end. Usually the product market fit is not there. Pricing is not like really dialed in. AOV is not strong enough. So the cart like journey is just not really optimized. That's like there's clear issues within the business if you're below 100, which usually again people are just not interested either by the product or not buying enough, or like your add to cart journey is just not properly optimized. So there's clear issues, and usually like you can't really scale your ads, and it's going to be very hard for you to be profitable ad wise if you're between 0 to 100. Now if you're anywhere between 100 to 200, there are low hanging fruits for you to fix. Usually some CRO work is really going to help you crack that 200 mark. And if you're at 200 or more, you're golden. Like if you run ads, chances are you will be very profitable with your ads. And that is one of the key metrics that I look into before even working with the brand. I'm like, do you just have the basis right? Like, do people want your product and are they buying in enough quantity? Which that Shopify health score metric is going to help you dictate. Number 2, they have a superior product that sells itself. Justin, how do you know it's a superior product? Is that a subjective comment? No, because with all 3 of them, had we run it and we did catalog campaigns, they're working. Which means if the only thing you do is show the product and people are still buying at a profitable level, you know you have an amazing product. And you'd be surprised by the amount of clients for which we try and launch catalog ads and they're just not working. No matter what we do, the product doesn't sell itself. It needs like a lot more convincing. And that's one of the leading indicator of a successful business is if you can just do a catalog ad or perhaps a Google shopping ad and it just works, it picks up and sells on its own, then people are actively looking to buy this product. They want this product. You're selling something that the market is demanding. Now, these clients, they also all have a 15% or more returning customer rate. So 2 of these brands, actually one of them has 14%, other one has 15%, another one has actually slightly below 30% all year round, okay? At 30% starts to be quite a lot. That is actually this new client of ours, which like right now, we just started working with this. The case study has either just been dropped on the channel or is about to drop this week, again, depending on when you are seeing this video. And let me kind of go back right here for a second. This 15% returning customer rate, that's a metric that you want to be careful about because if it's too high, it's not good either. Like if you're at 15% returning customer rate, then it's like you've probably saturated your market. Like you need to keep acquiring new customers to stay alive. But 15% is a very healthy level to be at. That means like you're acquiring a lot of new customers, but some are also coming back, which is what you want. Now, obviously, a lot of these things are outside of our control. This is like what the brand did right before working with us. Because look, I'm not going to sit here and say this is entirely our doing. It's not. Like we are the paid ads people. We are creating the creatives, doing the UGC, doing the static ads, doing the video ads, doing the campaign structure, the copywriting, the sending clients advice about the offer, CRO, so on and so forth. But we're not the ones who invented the product. We're not actively working on the website. So those are all things that, again, I gotta, tip my hat off to the client and say, had they not done that, we probably wouldn't have been as successful. But on the ads part, what is within our control? Well, for all 3 clients, we have a robust research process that backs up each ad, which I'm about to show you. For all 3, we have a solid ad iteration process, which I'm about to show you right now. Here, real quick, I just wanted to let you know to check out the description down below since I've started using Adria over the last couple of months for our creative process at paidadvertising.com. It's our go-to creative research, inspiration, and analytics tool. So think of it this way. You can actually use it to build an ad swipe file, save ads from popular ad libraries, to browse through some of the ads that other people have saved, and to link your ad account to the app to see the analytics of the ad creatives that you're actively running. So it's an all-in-one creative research tool, and I strongly invite you to check it out. Link is in the description down below. Now, back to the video. Our research process is this. When a new client comes in, so during the media buying analysis, I typically have my media buyer come in and they'll look into all the past data on an ad account. So essentially they'll look into best audiences of the contest tested audiences, although we typically always go broad, but it gives us an idea of the persona if they've did interest or lookalikes before that work. Now, second of all, we're going to look into campaign structures. We're going to look into creative types that have worked the best. We're going to reverse engineer all their ad creatives that they've ran before and look into what were the main mass market desires of these creatives. Who was the persona targeted by this messaging? How was the messaging framed? What was the awareness level of the audience? So on and so forth. Then continuing to own data, I'm going to have my creative strategist look into the brand's information and story. So looking into their website, their about page, their product page description, the onboarding form a client typically has to deal with us. Then product info. So looking into like, what's the product in itself, right? What is everything that we know about this product? What is it made of? Who is it made for? What are the benefits of this product? Reviews. What are people actively saying about this? Analytics. So Google Analytics, perhaps. Market data, okay? So market data is data that you do not own. It's data that's publicly available. So competitor website research, right? Either looking into their own product details, their own product description, perhaps looking into their own ad libraries, seeing what ads are they running, which ads have been live for the longest, which gives you a good indicator that typically those hopefully should be profitable ads. What data can you get about these ads? What was the copy? What was the creative type? What was again the messaging? So on and so forth, right? Reddit, Quora, YouTube, Amazon, etc. All great places to look into for reviews of similar products or for similar product listings. Now, persona research. Through all of these, either own data or market data, we're going to try and find out what are the demographics of the person we are trying to advertise to. What are the desired outcomes for which they're actively thinking about on a day-to-day basis? Purchase prompts. What are the cues that we can convey in our messaging that will push them to purchase? Pains and failed solutions. What have they tried before while trying to fix or achieve the same desired outcome that just didn't work out? Daily life of a target customer. What does the daily life look like? Uncertainty and perceived risk. Objections. Then product research. Features, USPs, mechanisms, benefit. What does that look like in action? Let me show you. This is actually a report that we've given to one of our new clients, okay? This is the table of content you're going to see right here. This was the research part. So this is like everything that we looked into when doing this research. So media buying analysis, prospecting campaigns versus retargeting that they've ran before. What were the top performing targeting there? Top performing demographics, the best performing months, the tracking, the best performing creatives, our analysis, our creative strategist analysis of this data. Then about the brand, about their offer, about the product, the audience, the competitors, the overview of the brand once again, and then to give you a little insight, right, into like, okay, Justin, that's great. This is a table of content, but what actually did you do? Well, this is some of the stuff that we figured out when looking online while looking into the audience in itself. So pains and need addressed, target audience, daily life of the target customer, so on and so forth. Okay. From there, same thing I said earlier, product research. Well, Justin, what do you research when you do the product? Something like this, right? And I'll make that bigger so you can see that a little better on screen. But we looked into mapping the product in itself, right? So product features, USPs, and mechanisms. So kind of outlining this as a general summary and then detailing the features that we can look into, the USPs, the mechanisms. Then, once again, the pain points, the desires, and the objections related to the said product. Like this, cold weather discomfort. Customers often struggle with staying warm and comfortable during harsh winter conditions, especially those who are active or live in colder climates, which all of this was gotten through looking into own data or market data. Okay, so let me keep it going. Further going into the research process, we're going to detail the mass market desires that we've outlined or extracted from our research, which are usually I want to statements. So I want to invest in a high quality hat that will last for years. I want to stay warm and cozy during harsh winter conditions. I want to own a hat that adds a touch of luxury to my everyday life. Now, what people will tell openly, their friends, their families, what won't they tell, what can't they tell? Justin, what do I do with this information? It helps you craft an ad that tailors to someone's deepest thoughts. You can either go surface level, which is basically what they're happy to tell others and they're happy to be told. What won't they tell or what can't they tell, which is going a little deeper right here, which might take a little bit more convincing with this ad, but it might hit longer. It's the type of ad which they might remind and be like, you know what? I've been thinking about this ad that I saw now for a bit. Let me look into this brand. Then positioning of the ad in itself, which is also part of our research. So what are the questions our audience is asking themselves at each awareness level? So I have right here 3 of the 5 awareness levels: unaware, problem aware, solution aware. So as an example, what is my audience asking themselves here? Well, if they're unaware, they're like, why am I always uncomfortable in the cold? Or why don't my hats keep me warm enough? Or like, why should I care about what my hat is made of? Or why is it so hard to find a comfortable hat? Problem aware questions like, why do my hats never last more than a season, right? Here, I would probably say like, why don't my hats keep me warm enough? Could be a problem aware question. So just be careful about this. So this one could be more of a problem aware question, by the way. Okay. But why do my hats lose their shape so quickly? Why do I keep having to replace my winter hats? So on and so forth. Same thing here for comfortable. I think there are true unaware questions that we have outlined right here, like why am I always uncomfortable in the code and in the cold in itself, because they don't really know what the true problem in itself, or why should I care about what my hat is made of, or so on and so forth, right? Or why should I invest in a good hat? Solution aware, they're aware of other solutions out there. So like, what's the best way to stay warm and comfortable in extreme cold? How can I avoid buying cheap, short-lived hats? So on and so forth, okay? Typically, now that we get through a research process and we figured out like all of these variables, it's a lot of information to build concepts from. Like you can just look at this and any half-decent creative strategist can now look at all of this research and be like, well, okay, cool. Like all my ideas, I just take from there and then build concepts from here. So ad iteration process in itself that comes from there looks a little like this. We have this tracking sheet, which has 2 parts. Okay. So I'll show you like part 1 and part 2, which those are the same like pillars that we track in each ad. I'll skip ahead a little bit, but like each ad concept that we run, we have all of these pillars that we keep track of internally: persona, market desire, positioning, angle, recipe or framework, creative type, product and benefit, copy, headline, landing page. So now that we keep track of all of those, then whenever we make an ad, our creative strategist can be pretty confident in this ad because they're like, well, I did all of this research before. So I did all of that. So I know a lot about the audience. I know a lot about the product. I know a lot about the market in itself. So I'm in a pretty good spot to create an ad. And when I make this ad, I will keep track of all of the little snippets of my research that I will use to make this concept so that, well, if this ad works, I'm not going to have to rack my brain and go back in time and be like, well, why did it work? Let me try and figure this out. Who was I speaking to again back then? No, it's like, okay, go into the ads manager, DCT001. So ad 001 ended up becoming a winner. Amazing. Then I can just go back here, look into this DCT001 and be like, all right, well, great. Here's the desire of this ad. Here's the awareness level of this ad in itself. This was the type of the creative. So it was a static ad. Okay. Here's the copy. Here's my headline. If there was a UGC framework, here's the framework, my persona, so on and so forth. Like all these variables, once again, we keep track of. So it's like, if the ad wins, it's not a guessing game about how to create a second winner. We can just go back here and look, well, this is why this ad won. We know why it won. Like there's no hindsight bias. You're saying, well, yeah, duh, I knew it was going to be a winner because like it's me who made it. No, it's more like, well, I knew or had a pretty strong sense that it was going to be a winner because I had very good research that indicated that my ad, again, my ad was based off of this research. So therefore, my ad is factual. It's based on facts. It's not like me just putting out a Trojan horse card and hoping it to work. So therefore, it won. Great. Well, I know how to create a second winner from there. And that is ultimately what a 7-figure brand needs to really scale their advertising process. They need to have a strong research process that backs up every ad creative that is then made. And we need to keep track of all the variables behind an ad creative so that, look, a creative didn't work. Great. It's not wasted ad spend. It's not a failure. You've now learned what pillars behind this ad don't work or to not reuse. Perhaps you know what desire doesn't work, you know what persona doesn't work, you know what framework doesn't work, so don't do that again. So it's like, I see this more as you've done something bad, you get a negative feedback loop. You got to tap on your fingers and you know why you've gotten tap on your fingers, so now you can cross off some of the variables used in this ad, or at least the way all of these variables were pulled together to make this concept can be crossed off, and then you can move on your list to putting together new variables, which therefore what this process brings you is you learn as much as from the bad ads as you learn from the good ones. And now if you made it this far in this video and you are an e-commerce brand owner making at least $50,000 a month or around that point with your brand, I invite you to check the link in the description down below and book in a call to speak with our team at paidadvertising.com today. I'd love to be your paid ads partner on Meta, Google, and or TikTok. And with that being said, if either you're not yet at the point where you can afford an agency, or perhaps you're past the point of working with an agency and you want some one-on-one consulting to help you out with your business, check the second link in the description down below to join our one-on-one consulting and mentorship program. On that note, I'm going to wish you an amazing day. Check out other videos on the channel for some more useful marketing tips, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.